The Crystal Tomb. The great hall of the alien council was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of judgment, heavy and sharp like a blade. Rows of tall alien lords stood around a glowing platform, their faces cold and cruel. In the center of the chamber stood a young alien queen, her silver skin glowing under the light, her violet eyes wide with fear. She was beautiful, but her beauty meant nothing to them. For her people, a queen who could not give birth was not a queen at all. Her name was Solara, and she was guilty of only one thing. She was infertile. The whispers of the council echoed like poison. She is unworthy, one said. She cannot continue the royal line, another added. Bury her, so all may remember her failure, the High Chancellor declared. Solara cried out, her voice shaking the chamber. Please, I have served my people. I have led battles. I have brought peace. Is my worth only my womb? But no answer came, only silence. Then the guards moved forward, carrying the object that would become her prison, a crystal sarcophagus, tall and shining, carved from the heart of a dead star. It was both beautiful and terrifying, glowing with an inner light that felt eternal. Solara struggled, her hands shaking as they forced her into the crystal tomb. The cold surface pressed against her skin. She pounded her fists, begging for mercy. But her people looked away. In their eyes, she was no longer a queen, no longer even alive. She was ashamed to be hidden. The crystal walls rose around her, sealing her inside. The last thing she saw before the lid closed was the face of the High Chancellor, his eyes filled with pride, not pity. Let her watch eternity, he said. Let her learn what it means to be nothing. And then the light closed in. Time passed. But Solara did not die. The crystal tomb was a prison designed to preserve, to make her live while trapped. Her body could not age. Her mind could not escape. She was forced to remain aware as centuries drifted past. At first, she screamed every day, pounding her fists until blood stained the glass. But the crystal never cracked. It healed itself each time, mocking her suffering. When her voice broke, she whispered to herself. She told herself stories. She recited the names of her ancestors. She begged the stars to end her pain. But the stars were silent. The world around her changed. Civilizations rose and fell. Entire empires turned to dust. But Solara remained, buried deep beneath the ground. She became a ghost of history, forgotten even by those who cursed her. Her mind grew weary. Sometimes she dreamed of fire. Sometimes of children's laughter she would never hear. She imagined holding a child in her arms. She imagined being called mother. But each dream ended with the cold glass pressing against her, reminding her it was all a lie. Then, one day, something strange happened. A sound echoed through the crystal, metal against stone. It was faint at first, but it grew louder. Solara's eyes snapped open. Her heart raced. She had not heard anything real for centuries. Through the fog of her prison, she saw lights, bright white, not the fire of her people, but something new. She pressed her hand against the crystal, her weak voice whispering, Who is there? Outside, human explorers stood in shock. Their scanners had picked up energy readings unlike anything they had ever seen. Captain Reynolds, a tall, broad man with tired eyes, stared at the glowing crystal tomb. Is that a person inside? One of his crew asked, their voice trembling. Reynolds narrowed his eyes. She's alive. Sensors say there's a heartbeat, faint but steady. Whoever she is, she's been here a long time. The crew circled the tomb, awe and fear mixing in their faces. The crystal seemed alive, pulsing like it had a will of its own. It was not a coffin, it was a cage. Inside, Solara pressed her face to the wall. Her voice was hoarse, broken. Please, release me. Reynolds exchanged a look with his second officer, Elena Carter. Elena's gaze softened as she stepped closer. She could almost see the pain in the alien woman's eyes. She whispered, Captain, we can't just leave her here. Reynolds frowned, duty fighting with compassion. But in the end, he nodded. Prepare the cutters. Let's break her out. The human crew set their tools against the crystal. sparks flying as energy blades tore at the surface. The sound rang in Solara's ears like music. For the first time in endless centuries, something was breaking the silence of her prison. The crystal fought back, glowing brighter, resisting the cuts. It had been built to last forever, but humanity had never been a race to give up. They pressed harder, their machines roaring. Cracks spread across the surface, faint at first, then stronger. Solara's breath caught in her throat. Could it be real? Was this finally the end of her torment? Her hands trembled as she whispered to herself, "Please, stars, let this be true." Then, with a final strike, the crystal split open. Light exploded through the chamber, dust and shards filling the air. Solara gasped as fresh air touched her face for the first time in centuries. Her weak body stumbled forward, her silver skin pale as moonlight. She looked up at the humans, her eyes wide with fear and hope, and Captain Reynolds whispered words that would change the course of her life forever. "Welcome back, whoever you are." The awakening. The air was sharp and cold as Solara stumbled forward from the broken crystal. Her legs trembled, weak after centuries of stillness. Every breath felt strange, heavy, almost painful. The human crew stepped back, unsure if she was friend or enemy. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the ship lights, her long hair falling like strands of midnight. Her violet eyes glowed, not only with exhaustion but with a fire that had burned silently for centuries. Solara's first sound was not a word but a scream. It was raw, filled with rage and grief. Her voice echoed like thunder across the chamber. The humans raised their weapons in panic, red warning lights flashing. Captain Reynolds raised a hand, steady but firm. "Hold fire. Do not shoot. She's not attacking yet." But inside Solara's mind, there was chaos. She saw strange faces, strange clothing, strange machines. These were not her people, not the ones who cursed her. Who were they? Had her enemies built this new prison? Her hands lifted slowly, glowing with violet energy. The air crackled, dust lifting from the floor. Sparks burst from the walls. The humans froze, weapons aimed. "Power readings are off the scale, Captain," shouted the engineer. "She's building some kind of psychic charge." Elena Carter stepped forward, ignoring the fear in her chest. She was smaller than the captain, younger too, but her eyes held a different kind of strength. She raised both hands in peace, her voice calm. "We freed you. We're not your enemies. You're safe now." Solara's energy pulsed, lighting up the chamber like lightning trapped in a storm cloud. Her voice was deep, heavy with centuries of pain. "Safe? Do you think I am safe? My people buried me alive for eternity, and now you come, with your machines, with your strange faces. Why? To laugh at me? To study me? To curse me again?" Her words sent a chill through the crew. The captain gritted his teeth, but Elena stood her ground, her voice softer, almost like she was speaking to a child. "No one is laughing at you. We only wanted to help." For a long moment there was silence. Solara's breathing grew harsh. Her eyes narrowed. The crystal shards around her floated in the air like deadly blades. Spinning faster, the humans waited for death, fingers tense on their triggers, but something unexpected happened. From behind Elena came a tiny voice, clear and innocent. "Is she a princess?" The sound cut through the tension like sunlight breaking a storm. All eyes turned, and there stood Maya, Elena's adopted daughter, a little girl with wide brown eyes, clutching a small stuffed toy. She had slipped from her mother's side unnoticed, drawn by the glow of Solara's power. Solara froze. The crystal shards dropped, clattering to the floor. Her violet eyes locked on the child, and for the first time in centuries her anger faltered. Maya tilted her head, stepping closer with no fear. "You look like a princess from my storybook," she said softly. Her tiny hand reached out. "Are you sad? You can be happy now. My mom always says no one is alone." The alien queen's lips trembled. She had been called many things in her life: queen, disgrace, failure, but never something so innocent, never something spoken with such pure kindness. She whispered, almost to herself, "Princess, I was never a princess. I was only a prisoner. Maya frowned and shook her head. No, you can be whatever you want. You can even be my second mom. The words struck Solara like a blade of light. For centuries she had dreamed of motherhood, cursed for being barren, mocked for her failure. And now this small human child, who owed her nothing, was offering her the title that had been stolen from her. Her knees buckled. She sank to the floor, her hands shaking as tears spilled down her cheeks. For the first time since her entombment, she cried not out of rage, but from something else, something she could barely understand. Captain Reynolds lowered his weapon slowly, his voice quiet. Well, I'll be damned. The kid broke her. Elena rushed forward, pulling Maya back gently, whispering, "Stay behind me." But Solara didn't move. She only stared at the child with a look of awe, like she was staring at the universe itself. Before anyone could speak further, alarms blared across the human ship. "R." At lights painted the walls, a voice from the comm shouted, "Captain! Enemy vessels approaching! Multiple signatures! Unknown configuration! They're surrounding us!" Reynolds cursed, his eyes darting to the Queen. "They came for her." Solara's expression darkened. The warmth she felt toward the child vanished as she realized who must be out there. Her own people, the ones who entombed her, the ones who had cast her into the cold silence of eternity. She clenched her fists, power crackling once more. Her voice was steel. "If they have come for me, they will not take me alive again." The ship shook as enemy weapons locked on. The humans scrambled, preparing for battle. Solara stood tall, her violet aura burning brighter. No longer the broken prisoner, but something far more dangerous. The crew exchanged fearful glances, not knowing if she was their ally or their doom, and then Captain Reynolds spoke words that hung heavy in the air. "Queen or prisoner, ally or enemy, decide now, because if we're going to survive, we need to know which side you're on." Solara's glowing eyes shifted back to the little girl hiding behind Elena, and her heart wavered, torn between fury and something far more fragile. The decision would not only shape her fate, but the fate of humanity itself, the human child. The ship trembled under the pressure of enemy warships outside. Red lights pulsed through the corridors. Warning sirens howled. But inside the chamber, it was silent. All eyes were on Solara, the alien queen who had once been a prisoner of crystal. She stood tall, her silver skin glowing faintly, her violet eyes filled with fire and conflict. In front of her, little Maya clung to Elena's hand, peeking out at the strange alien woman with the innocence only a child could have. Solara's breath came uneven. Her people were out there, those who cursed her, those who called her worthless, those who entombed her. She could almost hear their voices again, echoing in her memory. "She is barren. She has no worth. She must be buried where no one remembers her name." Her fists trembled, violet sparks dancing around her fingers. But then she looked at the child again, at Maya, and the sparks dimmed. There was something about the girl's eyes, wide, curious, unafraid, that pierced through centuries of bitterness. Maya whispered, "Don't be sad. You can stay with us." The words were soft, but they shook Solara like thunder. Her heart ached. She had never held a child, never been called mother, never felt the warmth of tiny hands reaching for her. Yet here was a child, not of her blood, not of her people, offering her the one thing she had longed for her whole life. Elena noticed the change in Solara's expression. She stepped forward carefully, her voice calm but steady. "Listen, we don't know who you are or what was done to you, but I see the pain in your eyes. I know what it's like to feel broken, but you don't have to face this alone anymore." Solara's eyes flickered between the mother and daughter. Her voice came out sharp, bitter but trembling. "You're kind. You speak of mercy, but mercy was never given to me. Why should I trust you?" Before Elena could answer, the ship jolted violently. The floor shuddered, throwing several crew members off balance. Sparks flew from the ceiling. A voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, enemy fleet has us surrounded. Shields are failing." Captain Reynolds' voice boomed. "Man battle stations. All hands prepare for combat." The crew rushed to their posts, weapons and defense systems charging up. But everyone knew the truth. Human ships were outnumbered. The enemy vessels were larger, stronger, older. The humans didn't stand a chance in a straight fight. Solara felt it too. Her people had always been merciless in war. They would not hesitate to slaughter the humans and then drag her back into the crystal. This time they would bury her deeper, darker, forever. Her hands glowed brighter, the siege amber filling with violet light. The humans raised their weapons again, unsure if she was about to attack them or the enemy. Maya broke the tension again, her tiny voice trembling but brave. "Don't hurt them, please." Solara froze, staring at the child. Her lips parted, and for the first time, her voice softened. You think I would hurt you?" Maya nodded slowly, clutching her toy. "You're angry, but angry people can be kind too if they want. My mom says family is who stays with you, not who leaves you." Those words struck Solara's heart like lightning. Family. For centuries she had been told she had no family, no purpose, no value, yet here was a human child, offering her the title of family with no hesitation. Her aura dimmed, her voice a whisper. "Family." Then the ship rocked again, alarms blaring. Weapons fire slammed into the shields. Warning sparks sprayed across the panels. Captain Reynolds shouted, "We can't take much more. If you're with us, prove it. If not, then get off my ship." The crew looked at Solara, fear and hope clashing in their eyes. In that moment, she had to choose. Solara raised her hands, violet flames swirling like a storm. The humans braced for the end, but instead of striking them, her power reached outward, flooding into the ship's systems. The lights flickered, consoles overloaded, and then the entire ship surged with new strength. Engines roared louder than ever before. Weapons glowed with unnatural energy. Shields flared back to life, brighter, stronger. The crew gasped, staring at their consoles. "Captain, power levels just tripled. She's feeding the ship." Solara's voice echoed, deep and powerful. "They will not take me again. If I must fight, I will fight with you." The captain stared at her, then gave a sharp nod. "Then let's show them what happens when you corner humanity." Outside, the enemy fleet moved clun. Ozir, weapons primed, their voices crackled over the comms, cold and merciless. "Return the prisoner or be destroyed." Solara's lips curled into a bitter smile. Her voice was steel. "Tell them, their prisoner is no more." The humans unleashed their weapons, boosted by Solara's energy. Bolts of fire ripped through the void, tearing into the enemy ships. Explosions lit the darkness, shaking the fleet. The enemy roared back, their massive cannons firing, but the human shields, empowered by Solara, held strong. The ship danced through fire and chaos, moving faster than human hands alone could guide. Solara's aura blending with the controls, making ship and queen one. In the command deck, Maya pressed her small hands against the glass, eyes wide in wonder. She whispered, "Mom, she's saving us." Elena glanced at her daughter, then back at Solara. For the first time she saw not a prisoner, not a threat, but something else, something powerful, broken, but healing. Solara's voice thundered across the bridge. "I was buried because I could not give life, but today I give life to your ship, to your people. I will not be useless again." The battle raged outside, but in that moment, something far greater was being born. Not just survival, but trust, between a broken queen, a human crew, and a child who dared to call her family. The choice. The battlefield outside burned like a storm of fire. Human weapons roared with unnatural force, every cannon blast carrying Solara's violet energy. Enemy ships shattered in explosions, but still more arrived, filling the void like a swarm of predators. Inside the human vessel, the air was tense. Crew shouted over alarms. Consoles sparked. Shields flashed under the relentless assault. Even with Solara's power, they were outnumbered. Humanity was strong, but numbers had their weight. Solara stood in the center of the bridge, her eyes glowing brighter than the stars beyond. Her aura wrapped around the ship like a living shield. She was not just a queen anymore. Not just a prisoner freed, she was power itself. Yet in her heart there was no peace. She knew those ships. She knew their markings, their formation, their cold and merciless discipline. They were her people, the very council that once buried her alive. Her chest tightened as an incoming message cut through the static. A voice echoed across the bridge, one she knew too well. The voice of High Chancellor Veyros, the one who gave the final order to seal her in crystal. "Solara," the voice thundered, "you have been released from your punishment. Do not resist. Return now, and your shame will end quietly. But if you defy us, the humans you cling to will burn for your rebellion." The crew froze. Every human eye turned to Solara. Their survival depended on her answer. Solara's face twisted in rage. Memories surged like knives. Her screams when the crystal closed, the silence of centuries, the mocking words that her womb was her only worth. She clenched her fists, her aura flaring like wildfire. But then she looked to her side, at Maya, the little girl's face pale but brave, clutching her toy close. Her eyes shone with unshaken trust, as if she already knew Solara would protect her. Elena knelt beside her daughter, whispering, "Stay strong, sweetie." Then her gaze locked on Solara. Her voice was steady, calm, but edged with steel. "You don't owe us anything. But you should know this. We don't measure life by blood, or by wombs, or by titles. Family is chosen. And if you stand with us, we'll stand with you." The words struck deeper than any blade. Solara's hands trembled. She had waited centuries to hear such truth. She looked back at the hologram of her people's fleet, their weapons glowing like suns ready to destroy. The Chancellor's voice returned, harsher now. "Choose, Solara. Your place is with us, obey, or you will perish beside these weak creatures." The humans braced themselves, weapons charged, but their captain knew it. Without Solara's decision, they would all be dust in minutes. Solara closed her eyes. Her breath came heavy. For the first time, she was free to decide, not forced, not caged, not silenced. She whispered to herself, "Family is who stays, not who buries." Her eyes snapped open, blazing with light. Her voice thundered through the bridge, shaking even the steel walls. "I am no longer your prisoner. I am no longer your shame. You called me barren, yet these humans gave me a daughter's love. You will never chain me again." Her power exploded outward. The ship glowed like a star, every cannon blasting streams of violet fire. Enemy ships shattered one after another, the void filled with burning wreckage. The Chancellor roared in fury, his fleet pressing harder. "Traitor! You side with vermin?" Solara stepped forward, her face carved in fire and defiance. "I side with those who gave me what you never did, hope, family, and love." The humans rallied, inspired by her words. The bridge filled with shouts of determination. The ship cut through enemy fire like a predator reborn, but the enemy had one last weapon. A massive dreadnought emerged from hyperspace, larger than 10 human ships combined. Its cannons glowed with a power so immense it could tear the human vessel apart with a single strike. The crew gasped, fear rippling through them. "Captain, that ship could crush us in seconds." Reynolds gritted his teeth. "All hands prepare." But before he could finish, Solara's hand touched the console. Her power surged into the systems, her voice sharp and fierce. "No, this battle is mine. You will not take them from me." The dreadnought fired, a colossal beam of energy tearing through the void. It struck the human vessel's shields, but instead of breaking, the energy twisted, absorbed by Solara's aura. Her body glowed like molten light, every vein pulsing with power. The humans stared in awe, afraid and amazed. Elena whispered under her breath, "She's burning herself to save us." Maya pressed her hands to the glass, tears welling. "Please don't die, Princess. Please." Solara heard it. Even over the roar of war, she heard the child's voice, and it gave her strength she didn't know she had. She raised her hands high, and with a scream that echoed across the stars, she hurled the dreadnought's energy back upon itself. The enemy ship cracked, split, and then exploded in a storm of fire. Pieces of metal rained across the void, drifting like broken stars. The bridge shook with cheers. The humans roared with victory, but Solara fell to her knees, her body trembling, her aura fading. She had given everything she could. Maya broke free from her mother's grip, running to Solara, throwing tiny arms around her. "You're not alone anymore," the girl whispered. "You're my mom now." Solara's eyes widened, and tears spilled down her face. For centuries she had been cursed as barren, worthless, entombed. But in this moment, she was something far greater. She was a mother, and nothing, no council, no fleet, no universe, could ever take that from her again. A mother's love. The wreckage of the dreadnought drifted through the void like broken stars. Flames burned in silence, metal twisted, and the last echoes of the great battle faded into the endless dark. Inside the human ship, alarms went quiet. Weapons powered down. The crew sat in stunned silence, hardly believing what they had survived. Solara knelt on the floor of the bridge, her body trembling, silver skin pale, violet light dimming from her eyes. Every breath sounded heavy, ragged, like her strength had been poured into the very bones of the ship. Elena rushed to her side, steadying her. "Don't push yourself anymore, Yo. You saved us, that's enough." But Solara's gaze was fixed on Maya. The child still clung to her waist, refusing to let go. Tears streaked her cheeks, but her little arms held strong, as if she could keep the queen alive by sheer will. "You're my mom now," Maya whispered again, her small voice trembling but sure. For centuries, Solara had been told she was barren, cursed, unworthy. But this little human child had shattered every chain, every word of scorn, with 3 simple words. In her heart, something long dead began to beat again. Solara raised a shaking hand, brushing Maya's hair gently. Her voice was soft, breaking. "I was buried because I could not give life. But you gave me life again." The crew stood in silence, watching. No one dared to interrupt. They understood they were witnessing something greater than war, greater than victory, but peace did not last. From the comms, a voice crackled. It was Chancellor Veyros. His tone was no longer commanding, but desperate. "Solara, listen to me. You have proven yourself. You have shown power. Return to us. Rule again. We will erase your shame." The bridge filled with bitter laughter. Solara's laughter, harsh and sharp. "Erase my shame. You created it. You buried me. And now you beg me to return? No, Chancellor. My place is not with those who entombed me. My place is here, with those who gave me a family." Her aura flickered, weaker now but burning with unshakable fire. The Chancellor's voice turned cold. "Then you are no queen. You are no daughter of our people. You are nothing but a traitor." Solara's head lifted proudly. Her violet eyes gleamed with defiance. "Better a traitor with love than a queen in chains." The comm went dead. Outside, the enemy fleet scattered, their great dreadnought gone, their will broken. They fled into the dark, leaving wreckage behind. The human crew erupted in cheers, clapping, shouting, some even crying. For the first time in history, a human ship had stood against a galactic fleet, and won, not through technology alone, but through the bond with a queen once discarded by her own kind. But amid the celebration, Solara's body swayed. Her strength failing, she collapsed. Maya screamed, clinging to her. "Don't leave me. Please don't go, Mom." Elena fell beside them, panic flashing in her eyes. "Stay with us, Solara. You're stronger than this." Solara's lips moved, weak and slow. "I gave everything. The crystal cursed me, but your child freed me." Her eyes began to close, but then something happened, something no one expected. Maya pressed her tiny hands against Solara's chest, tears dripping onto her silver skin, and as the child sobbed, Solara's aura flickered, pulsed, then glowed faintly, as if the girl's love itself was feeding the queen. Solara gasped, her breath returning. Her violet eyes opened wide, glowing brighter than before. Her body steadied, healed, not by power, not by machines, but by something far greater, love. Elena froze, watching in awe. She's healing because of Maya. Solara pulled the child into her arms, holding her tight. Her voice was strong now, filled with wonder. No power in this galaxy is greater than a child's love. The bridge filled with silence again, not of fear this time, but of reverence. Everyone knew they had witnessed a miracle. Captain Reynolds stepped forward, his voice steady. Solara, if you stay with us, humanity will stand with you, not as prisoner, not as queen, but as family. Solara looked around at the crew, at Elena, at the captain, but most of all at Maya. The little girl smiled up at her, eyes still wet with tears, whispering, I told you, you're not alone anymore. Solara smiled, a true smile, the first in centuries. Her voice rang with certainty. Then hear me, humans. I am Solara, once a queen, once a prisoner, but now I am mother to this child, and I will fight beside you, not because I was born to, but because I choose to. The crew cheered, the sound echoing through the ship, not just a celebration of survival, but the birth of a new bond. Far beyond, across the galaxy, news would spread. A queen once discarded had risen again, not with her own people, but with humanity. The galaxy would whisper of the day crystal chains broke, of the day an alien queen became a human mother, and deep in the quiet of space, as the ship sailed onward, Maya curled into Solara's arms. Falling asleep against her chest, Solara watched her breathe, tears glistening in her eyes. She whispered softly, only for the stars to hear. They called me barren, but humanity gave me a daughter, and that is more than any crown could give.